Tonight, we spend Monday in a pack. This evening, GridVision Superspeedways heads to Talladega for its final race of the season, presented by First Coast Fleet Services. Tonight, it's the finale here on GridVision. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the move tonight is Brian Brent. Austin Jarvishire is producing as we get set to get racing around Dega. It's the final time we'll see action this season for this series, Brian. But in turn, the next-gen cars are on track here from Lincoln, Alabama.
Yeah, definitely excited to see what these guys can do here at Talladega, the biggest super speedway of them all. 2.66 miles of pure high-octane action. And to conclude this season, I think this is a perfect race. I mean, these next gens are really great at tracks like this. They're very good at bump drafting. I mean, we talked about last week how the limitations between the trucks, the Gen 6 and the Xfinity, where you really can't push the pusher. You can do that in this race car, so I think anything's going to go here tonight, as well as we have a champion to crown.
In turn, the track temperature is blistering hot. Keep in mind, it's iRacing Day, May 15th, 2023. In turn, 126 degrees your track temperature today, with 83 degrees the air temp. Engines have been popping in turn when drivers have tried to essentially push in the draft. That could be a problem today.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, I saw it in practice. Guys, three cars were together driving around the track, and one of them did pop their engine. Saw some black smoke pouring out of the race car, so that's something these guys are going to have to really watch out for. 126 degrees on the track. That's enough to probably cook an egg.
In turn, it's one lap qualifying for tonight, but we can tell you this. The number one driver in qualifying, or rather in the points, was Sean Boundy. In turn, he's already locked up the championship. Faison Chief right now just about comfortable for second. Bobby Mansell trying to hold on to third over James Self. Mark McFadden, your top five. And Sean Boundy, keep in mind, yet to get a win this season. If he does well tonight, that could flip the script.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been really, I kind of been hassling a little bit. Every week in the broadcast, I'm always talking about, this could be the race that he breaks through and wins. And he even told me when I talked to him just a few minutes ago, he was like, stop saying that. But I definitely think, hopefully he's going to be gunning for it. I mean, he's got the title locked down, so why not risk it all here tonight at Talladega? But I know we did see a first last week. Faison Chic brought his first dub.
Yes, indeed, and he is amongst one of the fast drivers here tonight. Already second in qualifying. We'll see how he does in the race in of itself. Talked about taking a more calmer approach in the previous race. Keep in mind, coming up on the schedule of note, there'll be a special event through Stars, which is a real-world racing series in the go-kart scene. More information to be seen when you watch along the live tomorrow. Keep in mind, the SSRL Truck Series comes to a close for its season before the Christmas break this upcoming Thursday here on GridVision. Just a few moments away from the starting grid here tonight, 13 drivers have made their way to this 2.66 mile super speedway. It's been open since the late 1960s, and at one point was an Air Force base. In fact, part of the construction for the circuit was partly with those runways you see there, initially being the old Air Force base. They needed funding for the new one, and in turn, NASCAR volunteered and said, we'll do and cover the costs if we build a super speedway on your old location. And now, we'll see how they start tonight as we get set to zip around this circuit. Mark McFadden sets the pole time tonight. How about that for the Canadian? Faison Chief behind by about 5/1,000ths of a second. Timothy Babcock in third. Jason Hand in a race start tonight, starts fourth. Scott Wise, he did well last time out, he starts fifth. Justin Levine starts sixth with Bobby Mansell seventh. Brandon Ishkadian in eighth. The last qualifier, Sean Boundy, starts ninth. Of note, the next car in line originally would have been Chad McGinley, but he's having technical issues, meaning Matthew Kleinsmith moves up a slot. James Self and Michael Little do the same. So in turn, 13 scheduled starters. McGinley for the W Rosso eSports machine is currently dealing with technical issues. Of note, they did announce, they talked about this a little bit where they run McGinley as well as the rest of that grouping when it comes to Mantle and Chia, technically run under a different name than their actual team in the league scene. They'll be running as Grim Reaper for their respective race series this upcoming season when it comes to the battle to try and battle on Sundays, once again, when it comes to the Global Racing Truck Series, and Truck League, should say. But as in turn tonight, your keys to win, Brian.
Oh, well, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, I think you're going to really have a lot of things that you're going to have to watch during this race, and that's going to include your temperature gauges. I think is going to be the big thing. We've seen that the temperature really affect the car's handling, and of course, as well as the potential for the engine to go. And I think that's going to be a big thing. And of course, that's just on top of all the other variables that you usually have to watch in these super speedway races. Of course, 3-wide action is very probable and if not encouraged here at Talladega. I mean, this track, you actually can go 4-wide, so would not be surprised to see that. So I think what you're going to really have to do to get victory here is be alive at the end of this thing. We only have one fast pair, and I think most of these drivers are going to use it.
In your opinion, who gets it done tonight? I know we talked a lot about Bounty. After all, he's the highest running in points yet to get a win this season, and he's the champion. Who else do you throw in the hat for the conversation tonight?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, there's a lot of strong competition in here. I'm going to go with Levine. I think I got Levine. I think he's a very talented super speedway driver. I know he was very, very close last week. I got him.
So we'll see how tonight plays out as they get all sorted and ready to go. 12 drivers ready to take the green flag in the next quarter of a lap. So again, Mark McFadden starting on the pole tonight. It's his first pole of the season, by the way. And keep in mind, this is a big step into what's been a solid stretch as of late. He ran last time in the Cup cars in 8th place, mind you. Tonight, he's making sure everyone knows he's in a Mustang. It says Mustang on the hood after all.
Now, I know I talked to Bobby Mantle, and he said something about he actually entered this race with the wrong vehicle. Usually, I think he drives a Ford. I think he's actually in a Chevy. So his paint scheme is not what he wanted it to be tonight.
Yeah, if anything, he's in one of his team's previous paint schemes in the Chevrolets, as we mentioned, Tobio Rosso eSports, which means second chances in Italian. Oh. And what just happened? Faison Chiev had a problem on the start. We're underway after a massive stack up on the top side.
Yeah, and we saw some damage actually being paid out, I do believe, there as well. I mean, I know I do believe the 00 Jason Hand got into the rear of the 15, as well as the 1 of Justin Levine got into the rear of the 00. So that could possibly leave some damage. 3 wide, though, as here comes Timothy Babcock trying to muscle his way, I should say, by Mark McFadden, but Faison with a huge run up top.
And all sorts of wild start to this one. Faison Chiev, from the understanding, he had a second clutch programmed. Why you have it in the stock car, I'm not sure. Will not say the full reason why you would. But a 10-mile-an-hour difference off the launch basically causes a couple drivers damage. He leads the first lap regardless. The worst to get it, Justin Levine's whole entire front nose is caved in.
Yeah, I figured there was going to be some sort of damage paid out as a result of that. And as you can see, Faison is in control. He's got Jason Hand with him. Of course, Scott Wise trying to battle with Timothy Babcock as we see 3 wide breaking out once again as Wise was up to 4th, now falls back almost outside of the top 10 as Timothy Babcock leads that top line.
Good news for Chad McGinley fans. He's made the race. Bad news. He's about a lap down already after dealing with technical issues for much of this one so far. Everything's getting very crazy in the back, though. All sorts of runs. Look at Scott Wise trying to go left, right, and center.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a lot of crazy runs. And we saw this last week if I'm not mistaken, with the Gen 6. They were just really, really insane, the runs. And I think it has a lot to do with the new build, the new package. It doesn't matter if it was the Gen 6 or the next gen. I think the draft is just a lot stronger here with this new build.
I think you can argue as well. Keep in mind, as we know, there's a lot that can be adjusted without it being in the notes. It's pretty clear this was something they adjusted without being in the notes. Keep in mind that in C-Fixed action for reference, we talked about the draft being big in trucks at tracks like Michigan. It was hard to even stay in the lead in a truck, let alone what we're seeing already here, where we've had basically 4 lead changes in about 3 laps.
Yeah, it's been a revolving door of lead changes. Scott Wise went from almost outside of the top 10. Now he's in the lead. And it seems like the place to be has been that top line. That's where the runs are really being generated. Of course, that's where Faison originally took the lead earlier in this race. Now he's on the bottom. I don't think that's where you want to be, Justin.
All sorts of shuffling again with the draft. Michael Little looking to go from back to mid-pack does. James South also gets shuffled. No one wants to work together. Better yet, here's an interesting thing. They can go 3 wide without the side forces, it looks like. Forcing them back, that's a big change.
Yeah, I think one person that is making that bottom line work is Justin Levine. You can clearly see now that he's leading the line. The damage on the front nose, surprisingly, I think he's... Oh, there he goes. He gets turned down. Doesn't hit the wall. He saves it. No, I wouldn't say call that save it, but he did not hit the wall, and no caution comes out as a result. This is unfortunate for the Ryko Justin Levine machine.
Yes, indeed. He gets hooked around by one of his fellow buddies, Michael Little. We stay green as a result of it being off the racing surface. They look to regroup for the time being. Up front, though, James Self goes the short way around. Up top, Scott Wise trying to work with Sean Boundy here. Keep in mind the stage point mark tonight, lap 20. So just less than 15 to go until points. Justin Levine, he'll need a caution to get some.
Let's take a look and see what happened. I think it's just a bad bump from the 93. You see, they were already kind of not bumping square. The 93 a little tried to go underneath Levine, and I don't think Levine was expecting that. There was enough of a lane for the 93 to get below him, but I just don't think that was a really good teamwork, I'd say.
But in turn, no caution from that. Up front, Self now trying to lead a line up top. Doesn't look like anybody else wants to be in a line. Scott Wise wants to be up front. Pretty clear.
Yeah, you can see some big runs, though, still being generated up there on that top line. James South has been a really strong contender all season long, and he's got the aid, I do believe, of Matthew Kleinsmith. Kleinsmith, went to the wall a little bit there. Of course, he's being followed by, I do believe, Timothy Babcock. So a lot of stuff going on here. Also, a lot of splitting up of the pack. You see Faison Sheik, he's in 8th. We're starting to see some guys lose the draft. Last time by, Faison was about 8/10 slower than this front group.
In turn, a lot of the drivers trying to sort themselves together here. When it comes to a race being basically this crazy to start things off with how big the effect is, we're talking about Timothy Babcock on his own nearly matching the speed on those in the corners, by the way. What's going through your mind if you're in this racing situation? Keep in mind that with all the shuffling, 4 or 5 cars have started really backing down the pace and have lost touch with the pack.
Well, I'll tell you, if you've already lost a draft and you kind of see these guys battling so hard, there's hope. That means that there's a chance for a yellow possibly, as we see 3 wide up front here again. James Salve up to the top, just got shuffled out from Scott Wise. Wise is now back up to the lead with the aid of Boundy. Boundy seems like he is very much content to work with the 31 of Wise here, as South is starting to actually drop back.
In turn, as they still sort together, at this mark right now, do you want to be on the front, in the front or the back? We already have Matt Kleinsmith with the tech issues, by the way, saying he's about to drop to the back. Where would you want to be right now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it would be better to be kind of out of the way here. But this next gen, one of the things is a slippery slope to whether you lose the draft or not. So a lot of, in other vehicles, you can kind of hang off the back of a pack and still be able to maintain enough speed to kind of still stay latched on. This next gen's not like that. If you fall out by a half a second, you're probably going to continue to fall and not be able to catch back up. But luckily, this pack has kind of coalesced back on itself. I don't know where I'd want to be. I got to say, I mean, this just doesn't seem like there's anywhere safe, Justin. I mean, I know that's a non-answer, but I just don't know where I'd want to be.
Back to the inside in turn, though, goes Babcock. He usually likes to be everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. Well, that's an interesting thing. Kleinsmith didn't elect to duck down, despite the fact he's still dealing with the technical issue, technically. One of the things that drivers can keep an eye on, if they are viewing along, is how good is their internet speed? Kleinsmith's is the worst in the session.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen temperature issues as well, because I know in practice I saw a 3-car tandem, and I did see some engines pop. So I'm surprised we really haven't seen that here so far, as we have, I do believe we're getting ready to complete lap 10 and start lap 11 here at Talladega. It's been nothing but excitement thus far.
Already lots of talking about temperatures. I'm hearing part of the reason is for Kleinsmith. Have you ever tried racing on satellite internet before? They don't recommend it for a reason. And
it looks like Kleinsmith's also, probably a little bit concerned, considering Ishikani's not really lining up too well with that 99's back bumper.
Well, there's actually a reason for that. That was the next point. Ishikanian has already said he's getting hot on the radio, and we're only on lap 11.
You definitely have to keep an eye on that. That's for sure. I mean, he does not want to pop that engine. I mean, especially if a caution doesn't come out for that. I mean, a lot of these guys are probably in the same boat. I know Sean Bounty's probably feeling the effects of that engine getting a little bit hot as well, following Scott Wise. And that's probably why that top line's losing a little bit of momentum, because Bounty's got to slow it down a little bit. But now the bottom line surges ahead. James South back into the lead.
Looks like drivers look to settle to the bottom. Remember, we were talking a little bit about fuel runs for tonight. Expecting drivers to get to about the 30 laps to go mark, as there goes Kleinsmith's satellite now disappearing from orbit, and in turn disappearing from the pack. And that sparks near 3 wide. Scott Wise in the Buster's Corner paint scheme nearly hit the wall.
Yeah, I think he might have been thinking about taking those guys 3 wide up on the tippy top, and I don't know if Bounty was going to go with him or not. But it looks like Ishikanian's going to be leading some of his first laps here tonight, as, of course, he is being followed by that 31 machine.
Back to the middle line in turn, but Ishikanian has showed a lot of growth, interestingly enough, throughout this campaign already in his few starts. First couple races were up and down, I'll say, because there were times where he had speed, obviously. Well, everyone has speed when it comes to a super speedway race, but I mean being smart with how you run with the speed. Tonight, in his third start of the season, he's been comfortable up front.
Yeah, no, he definitely looks really, really comfortable. And we were talking about him having some issues with the dirty air, the temperature issues when he was following behind Kleinsmith. Well, that's not an issue anymore. Now he's got the clean air, probably running really, really cool, has the foot mashed to the floor. But now he's got to worry about Wise, who's right behind him. It seems like Wise is having a tough time predicting exactly where this 19 wants to drive at. Now, that's one of the biggest things in these super speedway races that you have to keep in mind is how predictable are you being when it comes to holding a line? Are you communicating over the radio with the driver that's trying to push you? As you see a move up top, Michael Little with the aid of, I do believe, Kleinsmith trying to get back into the battle.
Still working to the inside in that, and amongst a couple of those, Kleinsmith feeling comfortable again with Little. Take a look for the back of Ishikanian. Keep in mind, different paint scheme look for him tonight, because
problems for Jason Hand as he gets smashed into the outside wall. No caution.
We stay green, and there it is. Caution is out. Hand immediately left the racetrack. Michael Little, mandatory damage.
Yeah, this is we were looking off the back end of Ishikanian, and I saw a little hint of this accident. So we're definitely going to take a look back at this and unpack exactly what happened. It happened so suddenly. Oh, and you could just tell that this is a heavy, heavy hit. And as soon as it happened, hand pretty much disconnected. Right here, we're going to get a little bit of a better picture. You see hand. Little was getting a big run up top, and I just don't know if Hand saw it. Well, I think they both, one came up, one came down, and then just met in the middle there. And unfortunately, that just did not work out. Huge damage for Hand, and he is definitely going to be, no wonder he took that toe quickly.
Let's take a commercial break. We're less than 5 laps to go in the stage. You're watching GridVision for GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to GridVision, where we work around the racetrack with Sean Bounty in the race lead. On the fuel-only stop, Mark McFadden on 2 tires. Mantle fuel-only. The rest of the field just took 4 tires as we get ready for a quick sprint for the points, and then a run to the finish in of itself. Keep in mind, no stage cautions throughout this season in the series. But Sean Bounty up front for the first time tonight, not without trying. He's been the second car in line much of the night so far, Brian.
Yeah, no, he definitely has been a really, really good pusher here tonight. Is kept Scott Wise, let's say, towards the front quite a bit. I'm curious what tires are going to look like. I mean, I don't think they really they usually don't matter too much at tracks like Talladega, but I know we have seen them matter more lately. I'd say with this new build and also the track changes quite a bit more as well. It being that dynamic track. So could rubber be laid down and we see tires actually matter? That could be a possibility, and I think that could maybe explain why we saw a lot of 4-tire stops.
So hearing that there is an issue in terms of the gridding procedure because there is a wave around car, so because the wave around car, drivers are trying to sort out where they're actually supposed to be starting. For those who do not know, sometimes that means the leaders are accidentally on the outside line, and then they shuffle the outside line to the inside line and vice versa. So the drivers are manually doing it themselves right here. But outside of that, so far, we've had plenty of lead changes. As a matter of fact, we've had a grand total of 6 different leaders in the span of 17 laps, Brian.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. I mean, with the runs these guys are able to generate, it has it has definitely been no shortage of excitement out here on the racetrack. And I think we'll probably see some more, new leaders. I know Mark McFadden, one of the guys, I think he started up on the pole, was not able to actually lead a lap here yet, but I think he's bound to lead one at some point. There's a lot of drivers out here, I think, that are still going to find their way up there as well. You know, Chad McGinley, he was one of the drivers, I think, that had technical issues when he joined this race. He is on the lead lap, so could we see him make a splash?
Just about set for the restart. Pace truck ready to move off. Again, Bounty on the high side. McFadden leading the inside line. And because of some of the confusion, we have some of the drivers electing to stay to the bottom more so than to their proper lines. That includes drivers like Levine Kleinsmith, who got some damage repair done during this caution. To the restart zone. Green flag is out. 3 laps away from points. And Sean Bounty with a big launch. The outside line not grouped together off the jump. And 4 different cars have nearly lost the draft already. McGinley trying to keep Sheath in the draft.
Yeah, I think Schick has been having just some terrible restarts here. Something has been going on. I don't know exactly what the deal is, but it seems like they're still not really getting up to speed like they should. And you can tell it's holding back drivers like the one of Justin Levine, as well as Matthew Kleinschmidt. Of course, Sean Bounty, though, right now in control. Big run, though, being generated up on the top line. Timothy Babcock, with the help of, I do believe, Mark McFadden, they're starting to move forward.
So everyone stays in the main pack there after the quick second or so. 12 cars still in it. Jason Hand is out. Of note, amongst those trying to work the middle line now. And top line, my goodness, Justin Levine trying to pass everybody on his own. No help, though. Means no dice.
Yeah, I gotta say he's probably a little bit frustrated right now. I would assume. This race just didn't start out well for him. I mean, check up on the restart caused him to get some pretty bad front end damage, and he's probably feeling a little bit impatient right now, as he has just not been able to find too much success. But he is now linked up with James Sowles. Can they make something happen? Usually, this too is a very dynamic and fast team. As there goes South, he jumps up to the top side. Levine able to scoot on through as well.
Now it's a 5-car tandem just about up on the line. 3-car bump trap to the inside still, but itself with the head of steam, 3 miles an hour quicker with the help of Levine. And keep in mind, before the build, most teams had to push with 3 cars. Yes, 3 cars with the next-gen car, or else you'd have some angry people. If anything, it's been more effective with the 2 once again. There's 3 with Ishikanian trying to give a little assistance to push Levine into self, and now you can't have 5.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of bumper cars right now. I mean, these guys keep hitting each other, and it seems like everything's fine for right now. There goes Faison. He moves up to the top. No one really electing to go with him, though. So I think he's going to get hung out to dry. And you could tell once Faison jumped out, that really broke up a lot of that line. And now Scott Wise leading that top lane.
Goodbye 2 for the time being. Was trying to touch upon this quick storyline. Ishikanian, you see the paint scheme. His team boss actually designed the paint scheme for Garrett Maines and his eNASCAR Coco iRacing Series efforts for its second half of the season over the summertime, as a matter of fact. Hence why you may notice some very, very, very similar similarities to the paint scheme compared to what you would see Maines would run.
Yeah, I know we were kind of talking about that a little bit over the break. And, of course, Ishikanian, I've talked to him a little bit, and, he has said that, very big fans of Garrett Maines. So, definitely, they really, I think, feel proud of that paint scheme that they were able to do for Maines.
According to the post over the summertime, 20 laps. Stage already just passed, by the way. Of note, Boundy up at the front currently. So that was at lap 20 for that respective stage at the closing stage end. At that respective lap, for those who wanted to keep track, just to double check on that mark, it was Boundy, Mantle, Wise, McGinley, McFadden, Self, Levine, Babcock, Ishikanian, Little, and Gieth, who are on the top 10 at the end of lap 20.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Sean Boundy, I think last I checked, before this race I checked on the points. Sean Boundy had 99 bonus points entering this race here tonight. That makes him the only driver, I do believe, to get over 100 in this league, in this series. So I'll tell you, he has just been a dominator when it comes to getting every point possible.
It's been a very good run, to say the very least, when it comes to the stage marks. But keep in mind, that's just basically the sprint for points. The run to the race win takes execution and pit stops coming up. And keep in mind, with everyone already 7 laps on the fuel run, it's obviously going to be a one-stopper, but we're talking about pit stops likely within the final 25 to maybe 20 laps here if it stays green.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, they're probably going to try to split it in half. Maybe some guys will try some different strategies. I mean, of course, a team dynamic is going to be important. Communication is going to be important for these drivers. Execution as well. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, yeah, pitting at Talladega is not that hard, but, you know, a lot of times you have to pit double file, and it takes a lot of communication. Faison getting shifted out once again. It looks like everybody's treating Faison like he's got the plague here tonight.
Lots of conversation there because Faison Gieth nearly turned around Ishikanian and then got shuffled out. He apparently said he wanted to back off to the corner. He thought he was going to turn Ishikanian, it sounds like.
Yeah, must have been getting too much of a run. And sometimes, you know, if you're getting huge runs when you're in the draft, it's very difficult to kind of check that run off. And I think Faison was just kind of trying to take it easy and not really turn the 19. But Scott Wise, of course, leading that top group. Sean Boundy at the moment in really good form. But one thing about it, you know, Sean, I talked to him before the race. I kind of talked to him a little bit, and he said that it's so difficult to win one of these races. You know, it's easy to, you know, lead a bunch of laps. But once everybody gets close to the end of the race, that's when, you know, everybody tries to make moves. And it's so difficult to find yourself in the lead, crossing that finish line at the end. I mean, we got such strong drivers in here. And he even said that sometimes I feel like they let me lead a lot of the race because that way they can save gas.
And in turn, that fuel mileage can become very pivotal depending on how the rest of this race plays out. Keep in mind, you never know when you get a caution. You never know if you end up having to save fuel a lot. We've seen that a fair bit already over the past week in some major events with some of the drivers having to think about those exact things. Ishikanian nearly took a 3 wide, but itself is up front, taking the point again. At the back of the pack, you see some splitting up because more technical issues for Kleinsmith, but more so Little nearly ran over the back end of Gieth, who also had technical issues out down the backstretch.
Yeah, I saw some blinking there from Faison, and that of course caused a little bit of pandemonium, but looks like everybody was able to kind of keep it straight. Mark McFadden trying to make some moves. Boundy not content with following Levine, tries to jump up. Levine throws a block, and here comes Boundy, jumps down to the bottom. Now South throws a block.
More blocking attempts. Levine gets shuffled back now with McFadden. Soccer Hole now has the middle line, slowing things up a little bit. A couple droppers scraping the wall. Little got a little bit too high. Now for the lead. Boundy gets ditched. Here comes Chad McGinley coming from a lap down due to technical issues. He's up to second.
Yeah, Sean Boundy definitely has got a good partner behind him. Chad McGinley, fantastic driver. Have seen him really be, he was a championship favorite in one of the leagues we called on Sundays. Of course, was not able to get there. But he's definitely a very, very capable super speedway racer, and you could tell that just the way that he was able to generate a run behind Sean Boundy, as well as you see Faison. Faison was hung out to dry, was almost in last, and it's now up to third. So we're seeing guys able to generate runs very easily, and I think that's going to make a very chaotic second half of this race. Big wiggle there from Chad McKinley. We're starting to see, I would say, some handling conditions from some drivers, and that could be maybe explained by two-tire or no-tire stops possibly.
Remember, we've seen this before the build as well, where with these next-gen cars, it can get very slick by the end of some of these runs compared to the fresh rubber. That was a major thing at the end of the Gen 6 era as well, that especially in areas like the tri-oval, the bumps just shuffle the car around that much in the throttle. We had cars spinning out back in the Gen 6 model, for reference, trying to hold on to their cars because they were losing the tires at 5% wear.
Yeah, for sure. And as well as the track has changed as well. Rubber has gotten laid down. Face-On makes a very aggressive move from the bottom to the top. Almost loses it. Oh, we do got problems. It's a canyon. Little wreck has happened on the backstretch. Yellow flag is out.
Caution flag is out once again. And it looks like this time off a stack up, it's Chicanian and Mantle trigger this one. 5+ cars involved as we're under yellow.
Yeah, I think Little was involved as well in this wreck. You see the Little's on the bottom there, the 93. I think he might have had something to do with it. Oh, Mantle definitely just not aware of the checkup in front of his Chicanian.
And in turn, no one with mandatory damage, but the main message over the radio right now is can't push the pusher. Well, you can in this car. It's just there was a big checkup difference this time.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what it is. We just saw a huge checkup. Mark McFadden had checked up in front of his Chicanian, and Mantle just did not get that memo. And of course, Little just a victim of circumstance in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So a few drivers likely to have to take some not mandatory, but more so manual damage repairs, including Little again. Here's why for Little.
Yeah, Little was just holding his wheel straight, wasn't doing anything wrong. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, he just ends up getting spun out.
It do be like that sometimes.
It do be. It do.
In turn, this caution should get drivers to the end on gas, by the way. It's 35 laps to go this time by. Not a surprise, see everybody down for pit service. A few drivers just trying to get their gears together before they make the pit stops, but keep in mind, the 35 was the top of that, or at least the bottom of the window projected, you were saying, before tonight.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've been seeing, big problems there from Kleinsmith. Misses his box by a country mile. But yeah, the problems with the fuel is it seems like there's a pretty big discrepancy on the fuel economy that you get with draft and without draft. I've heard some drivers say that whenever they were on the track by themselves with no draft, they were able to get about 33 laps of gas. But when you're in deep in the pack, in the draft, you're able to get possibly even a high of 39 laps. So there's a big difference. I mean, if you're out front and leading, you're probably going to be burning a lot of gas. So it's going to be really close. Then again, we are going to have a couple pace laps here, which I think will make that will make it to where it is definitely feasible that everybody's going to make it to the end here.
Let's take a break. When we come back, break things down a little bit more. You're watching GridVision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to GridVision. As Superspeedways action continues, just Brian Britt with you, Austin Darbyshire producing. It's Scott Wise up front after the pit cycle, Timothy Babcock second, Levine and McMahon Self and Boundy, McGinley and Mantle, Little and Sheath. So far, a ton of lead changes. Just about everybody has gotten a chance at least up front. The only drivers yet to lead include Babcock, McGinley, Mantle, McFadden, and Little. It's going to be interesting how the second half of this race plays out, Brian.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. I think we're going to see the aggression level go up even further. I think we've already seen it be very aggressive, but we were talking about fuel before the break, and I think we're going to be pretty good. So I think that's going to be one less thing that a lot of these guys are not going to be worried about anymore, which could, like I said, drive up the intensity.
Just about set for the restart. And once again, 33 laps to go. This is just about the midway point here tonight. And not sure where Levine's going, but he nearly hooked to the lead sponsor and one of his teammates. Let's fall on board for the green flag. It's Mark McFadden through the gears.
Yeah, top line all night long has just not been able to get going. The bottom line, really good job. Scott Wise, kind of I'd say too good of a job in a little bit of a way, just considering you see how much Levine is able to run him down. But luckily, Levine, I think, has decided to stick with him. James South, not the same allegiances. As we see three wide, Sean Boundy makes a big move on Timothy Babcock and jumps up to South's bumper.
So up to the point this time goes the 21. An interesting thing to note as they continue to shuffle here, several drivers elected to top off before this green flag. We talked about it being potentially close on the mileage. A couple drivers making sure to play it safe here, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on whether you're out front. If you're out front the whole time, then yeah, you're going to be really, really tight on the gas. So it kind of makes sense that some of these guys would want to top off just a little bit, just to make, I guess, give you a little bit of peace of mind. But I don't know how much peace of mind you could really have at a track like Talladega when you're seeing the style of racing that we've been seeing here tonight. It has been nothing but nothing short of exciting.
That's an understatement when it comes to all sorts of swaps. Three wide once again. Boundy gets shuffled back with Ishikanian this time. Up at the point once again, Scott Wise. And at this point, too, with everything that's being sorted here, how can you... This is almost pure chaos here. For some, they thrive in this. For others, the thought is, okay, are we good on fuel? Well, let's go three wide while we think about it. That's going to be difficult to do.
No, 100%. I mean, I agree totally. I don't know how these guys are able to keep such a cool head while dealing with all of this stuff. I mean, Talladega, tracks like this, it is so nerve-wracking. I used to, in my, I'd say, younger days of iRacing race, when I used to race before, I used to love this style of racing. But it's gotten to where I tell you, I just can't deal with it. It is anxiety-inducing. But some of these guys just absolutely love it. You see a move being generated up there on top. Chad McGinley, of course, with Sean Boundy, trying to make something happen here. Great job, great recovery McGinley, who of course started this race a lap down. Starting to see some wiggles though on that bottom line.
And the interesting thing in all this, as you see McGinley now moving up with the run with Bounty, you're technically talking about those Grim Reaper Motorsports slash those DeRosa machines basically controlling the front, because remember, McGinley's a part of that. You also throw Bounty in that mix. Scott Wise is also working with them tonight to get the numbers, and their team boss slash designer Ron Harrington is also in the respective group trying to spot for all the cars.
Well, that's a really helpful thing to have an eye in the sky that's really watching the runs and kind of seeing some of the trends and patterns that could end up winning them this race. I mean, Ron Harrington being their eyes, I think gives them a key advantage that no one else really has.
Well, it can have positives and negatives. Sometimes it's very helpful to get spotter calls, and then you accidentally get the confused spotter calls for your teammate. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I've tried to spot for 5 different people at once, and 3 of the people say perfect. One's laughing, and one says, please stop talking.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, spotting for 1 or 2 people possibly probably would be, beneficial. But I could see, if you spot for a lot of people and it is very difficult to understand who the information is actually meant for. So, yeah, that's a very good point. But looks like McGinley, though, still doing a good job. He has separated from Bounty. He separated from Faison. Looks like he is now linked up with Scott Wise. So we got a Ford and a Chevy working together at the front of this field.
Yes, indeed. But McGinley leading some of his first laps of this race, by the way. And that completes the recovery from a lap down to now being up at the point. Still, though, 27.5 laps to go. It's been an interesting season from start to finish, though, because we've had 29 plus different starters, 30 in fact, I should say. You have many of them running, some of them part-time, yes, but many getting the chance to run nearly the entire season. We had 3 make every race this season: Bounty, Sheath, and McFadden, the ones to make all 12.
Yeah, definitely an impressive feat to make all of the races here. I mean, I know a lot of drivers when we first started out probably a little bit frustrated. Of course, when you have a new league, there's always going to be a little bit of some trials for sure, especially at Superspeedways. I mean, these tracks usually, I'd say, bring some aggressive driving. So, I mean, and I think a lot of these guys have definitely had to get used to each other. And I think that's one of the biggest things that they had to kind of get over. And McFadden, I think he's got definitely a fantastic future if this, whatever happens to this series. He's definitely running very well up top right now with McFadden in tow, or with the South in tow, I should say. And it looks like, problem, South turn by Faison Sheik. Sheik up into the outside wall.
Caution flag is out. And 2.5 lanes wide does not work there. Can see where that may have came from. Watch this with the tri-oval.
Yeah, I just think that, McFadden was hoping, I think, South was going to push him, and that's just not what happened. So South slowed down quite a bit, and I think was just moving around, and that was kind of the variable there was South and McFadden. You see Faison just not sure where to go, really, yeah. I don't think.
It almost looked, oh my goodness, South nearly clobbered him again.
Oh, yeah.
But I was about to say, in all of that, it almost looked like that South and McFadden almost started moving up to the 3rd line and then not committed to it in the end. Look at this. They go up to past the dotted lines. And when they go up like that, you're thinking, let's go middle. Okay, let's make another line. Except that's not what happened.
Yeah, I think this might have even have been a little bit of indecisiveness from South. I feel like McFadden was holding that middle groove, and I think that South looked like he was getting ready to go above to try to make that third groove work, like you were saying. And Faison looked like he was ready to go with him as well, but South did not pounce on it like he should have, and then that caused a little bit of a stack up there with Faison.
Now, interesting to note, split call on strategy. It looks like most of the field electing to top off, make sure they're good to go for green-white checkers, except for a couple. McGinley, Wise, and McFadden are all taking a risk here and staying out. Not a surprise seeing a lot of top-offs, a couple drivers preferring some fresh rubber for the grip. But it looks like, for the most part, everyone's playing for if there's a GWC or a couple. McGinley amongst those who is electing to keep the track position despite the fact it's been tricky to hold it tonight.
Yeah, no, I think that I don't know. I mean, I think that these guys are going to be good on fuel, but then, like you said, if they get a green white checker, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Especially with, I do believe, 3 of them available, if I'm not mistaken. So that could definitely be tricky, and we've seen before where those green white checkers have been we've potentially had to use them. So we'll have to wait and see if that how that plays out. Of course, we could end up seeing this thing finish under green, uh, but I don't know. I mean, the closer we get, the more I think chaotic is going to get, as well as cautions usually breed cautions.
So under 25 laps to go. We've had contact under caution, by the way.
Oh, no.
Apparently, remember how Justin Levine nearly hit Timothy Babcock by accident before a restart? Well, I think he tried to give, the courtesy door bump, right? Well, he accidentally made it to the courtesy scrape Babcock into the wall.
Yeah, I think they're still having some problems right now. They actually just hit each other again.
Well, they were laughing on the radio, so it's all fun-ish. Well, it's all fun and games until you're down 5 miles an hour from a door bang.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't damage them too bad. So we're going to take a look back at the replay of this incident under caution.
I think it's a little bit... Yeah, watch. He's getting up to speed. And then he's like, "Hi, Timothy. Hi. 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 Hello. How are you today? Hello. Bye-bye."
Yeah, well, it wasn't too hard of a hit. So I think they're still hitting. They are hitting each other right now as we speak. They,
okay.
Apparently like each other very much.
Those are teammates, by the way.
That's that's behavior only teammates can present.
By the way, for those curious, there are no incident points involved in those contacts, according to the conversation on the radio. So, apparently no damage, no harm, no foul. So, anyhow, 23 to go. Your thoughts here?
I mean, I'm just surprised to see those guys, taking such risks. I mean, I understand that they definitely have a sense of camaraderie for sure. And, I know both of those drivers are very, very capable. I don't know, though. One little thing could go wrong, one missed scrape, and that could, especially these cars. These cars are very vulnerable to damage. But definitely excited to see what happens here. Guys are on, they have less fuel. That could change handling. You got Chad McGinley, Scott Wise, McFadden on less gas. I'm curious what that does. I mean, we've seen, it might be minute, but a advantage goes to the guys that have more gas a lot of times because of the increased downforce weight.
Once again, 23 laps to go. McGinley, Wise, Boundy McFadden, Ichkenian Babcock, Levine Sheath, Little, Self, Kleinsmith Mantle. Pace truck already off. And McGinley looking to see if he can sting away from the rest of the field. Green flag is out. He catches everybody sleeping.
And I don't know if that's what you want to do at a track like Talladega. You really do not want to go early, and you can see why right now. The big run that Mark McFadden's going to get here, and it looks like McFadden's going to stick with the 7 possibly. Ishikanian getting a little bit restless behind the 48. So far, so good. We make it to the backstretch.
Offset 3 wide with Babcock getting some help. Ishikanian moving up top as well. McFadden electing to give a lot of space, though, to McGinley. Levine doesn't want that to happen with some of these pushes already to the back of the 48.
Yeah, and sometimes you can be too cautious at tracks like this, and I think that that can cause issues. And I think McFadden, you know, he's trying to make it to the end of this thing, but if you're too cautious, that could cause an accident even before an aggressive driver does. As you see the Brendan Ishikanian, of course, making some big moves there with the aid of the 31 of Scott Wise. Third lane starting to form as well. I do believe that is Timothy Babcock and Klein Smith. No, that's actually South making that top line work.
Looks like she is electing to back off a little bit. Hesitation from Levine and Little on some of the teammate groupings here. So as you see some of these pairings almost start to sort out, we're almost looking towards the tandeming once again coming into play to the point where no one is sure how they want to play this. So everyone's trying to figure out what group do they like to be with, it seems.
No, I think that's exactly what's going on. Everybody's just trying to find their dancing partner to get their, get back to their friend. A little bit complicated to do that here at about 200 mile an hour. But McGinley right now in control. We're starting to see, I think, that top line starting to move a little bit better. Klein Smith really starting to move.
And a big run from the back of the grouping to Babcock and James Self. Originally tried the third line. Like to go back inside groove. Coming up to 20 laps to go in this one. It's McGinley up front. But Mark McFadden tonight having his best race of the season. He's been close several times, by the way, that 48 has. He's had a lot of bad luck at the end of these races, though. Is tonight the night for him? He was the pole sitter, mind you.
That's right. You're right. I mean, he was the pole sitter by, I do believe, about 5 thousandths of a second. So he's very, very quick here tonight when it comes to single lap speed. But here comes the top line. Michael Little with a huge run. He jumps down in front of McGinley. Now, of course, the top line, I think, is going to continue with their momentum. Didn't really skip a beat too much, but I don't know. It's like Little, when he jumped down to the bottom, he kind of, in a lot of ways, breathed new life to the bottom line speed.
Last time out, mind you, when it came to Little, 8th place in the Gen 6 cars at Daytona. His best finish, the last time we're in the next gen car at Atlanta, 3rd place run. He now leads up with under 20 laps to go. And to the back goes Kleinsmith on the shuffle. Sheath already back inside the top 5 as he groups with Ishikanian. Now keep in mind, Ishikanian has linked up several times with Sheath. Sometimes Sheath as the pusher, sometimes Ishikanian the pusher. There's been interesting discussions at times over the alignment of those bumpers, though. For example, they're not really lined up on that pointy, chubby nose.
Yeah, I think that might end up being a little bit of a problem. I mean, those Chevys are a little bit rounded on the front, and that makes it a little bit harder to push the car that's in front of them. And I think Ishikanian's kind of, finding that out right now. But you can definitely tell that it looks like Ishikanian and Faison Sheik definitely working very well together. They kind of decided to hang out Matthew Kleinschmidt just a little bit ago. But Michael Little in control. Faison, though, generating a big run onto the backstretch.
Back to the point as the clouds say hello. Sheath to the point, in fact, as those clouds shuffle over. For those curious, remember we started this race at 126 degrees Fahrenheit, the track temp. Keep in mind with the 2-time sun conditions, that means the sky works very quick. How about a minus 13 on the track temperature, but the air temp has continued to skyrocket.
Yeah, track temp itself has gone down, but apparently it's got hotter in the air temp. That's kind of interesting to see. You don't see that very often. Usually when there's race cars driving on the track, it heats the track up. But it looks like that's not the case here right now. As, of course, they're still dueling right now for second place. Schick trying to make moves.
Right now, he's got a Chicani as a helper. Teammates lined up a bit on the inside, and here we go! Chance gets turned across the nose a little. No caution yet. We stay green as Sheath comes out of the grass.
Yeah, and it looks like Little really didn't have to pay that much of a price. I think he might lose the draft, but he does have the help of Bobby Mantle. But Faison, the 15, very much, that was a costly incident there for him. He is now off the lead pack by, I do believe, about 10 seconds or more.
Let's take a look. There's some confusion here over the radio, but from this view, you can make it pretty clear. Remember the alignment? Yeah.
This had nothing. I don't think this is not Little's fault. This is more of pretty much the Ishikanian who was pushing the 15, gave him a bad bump, and it sent him down into Little. Little had, really, I don't think Little did anything wrong.
Yeah, you're right. If anything, that's misaligning the bumper, pushes him into Little.
That's right.
But it turned. That's going to hurt Chiak in this last race of the season. He's lost the draft, obviously. 11 cars in the main pack. Only 15 to go. Look at the tandem. McGinley and Ishikanian showing how far you can get if you push and you're not afraid of temperatures. Ishikanian, if he tries it again, probably boil the motor as Justin Levine zips on by.
Yeah, Justin Levine definitely making some big moves. Of course, Michael Little, who was just involved in that incident, he looked like he was possibly even going to lose the draft, but luckily Bobby Mantle helped him stay in the draft, and he is now battling for the lead even possibly. So what a recovery there from the 93. Justin Levine now up to the lead. And he has not led a whole lot here tonight. Looks like he has definitely decided it's time to get up here and show that Levine speed.
That leaves just 3 drivers without lead laps here with under 14 laps to go. Babcock, Mantle, McFadden. And more trouble. Ishikanian's engine may have just went, or what just happened there?
Huge hit from James South. That's probably going to be a race ender for the 21. That was a smash on the wall.
No caution. We stay green. And I think there's a reason for that quick sudden stop. Watch the left rear.
A little bit of air in between the 89 and the 19, and I think James South is really kind of a victim.
And with that, James South has parked it for the night already. 13 laps to go, with that being somehow no caution. Boundy up front. Now it's Levine leading the inside line in the midst of all this. Michael Little all the way to the back of the pack again, by the way.
I think in a lot of ways, I mean, this has been a race of attrition and who can survive in a lot of ways. I mean, we've seen South, Jason Hand both retire. I mean, what a hard hit. James South, I mean, that was, I mean, I tell you, if he was in a real race car and we saw that kind of a hit, I'd be checking up on him. I mean, my goodness. Justin Levine, though, leading yet another lap, I do believe, here. Very good, solid run on that bottom line. And I think it has a lot to do with Timothy Babcock and Kleinsmith. The GridVision cars very much working very well together.
They've been working together a lot all throughout this season in situations like this. And they have different tandems starting to form up. You have that GridVision alliance on the inside. You have everybody else on the high side. All months, a 9-car main pack. Ishikanian, of note, has lost the draft after that incident. So as we come up to 11 laps to go, what line do you prefer here? inside or middle/top here. The numbers are more on the top. Well, never mind. It just went to the bottom. McFadden elected to go below.
Well, I think on the last lap, I would want to be on that top line. I don't know. I mean, I think that the only reason that you don't see that top line really performing to its highest potential is because of the fact of the temperatures of the engines. I think, but if you're on that last lap and you have a cool enough motor, you push as hard as you can, and that top line is going to be probably faster than the bottom. So I think that's what a lot of these guys are going to probably use that. You know, like Bounty. He's going to be hoping that Chad's got a cool motor and is willing to push him.
10 laps to go up at the stripe. It's Levine at the point. Babcock in second. Bounty leading the top side. Looking to change that. Can Bounty get his first win of the season? He's already secured a championship. Can he get a race win to close it out after being the king of consistency all season? Looking to try and get 11 of 12 top fives at minimum.
And you see right here, I mean, when that top line wants to start moving, it can. I mean, it could do it at a moment's notice. It's just all about, I think, the engine temperatures of that second car in line. I mean, you can see Chad McGinley right now is probably real cool. Now he's starting to have to back up. Ooh, we got some problems there. I think Babcock getting a little bit wiggly. Now, this is going to slow down the bottom line a lot.
And now that top side building a lot of momentum again. Amongst that alliance, it looks like Little trying to jump the queue maybe. Can he get some draft now? No. He's at the very back of that blue car. Now in turn, McFadden's looking to try and make his way to the lead of the grouping.
Oh, and a little bit of a bump there from Justin Levine. Turns the 48 a little bit sideways, but the 48 still able to maintain the momentum. Huge run coming from that bottom line once again. Wow, look at this run that the 48 is getting.
This is getting intriguing coming to 8 laps to go here. McFadden, the 75-year-old, nearly bumped off the line. Levine looks to regroup. And you gotta be wondering what's going through the 48 machine's mind here. He is the only driver in this field every single week who runs on his own throughout the communications.
Yeah, he probably does not have any idea on what the plan is, the game plans for the other teams. So he's just happened to kind of roll the dice here and hope that you know, it works out well for him. I mean, so far, I mean, he's been very, very competitive here tonight. I mean, incredibly competitive in that out of the groove machine. So I do suspect that you know, I wouldn't be surprised that a Justin Levine or somebody would be happy. They'd be probably happy to push the 48 of McFadden to a win or something like that. I mean, I think he's definitely been fast enough to earn one. So could we see that here tonight? That would be, I think, an awesome moment for everybody in this series.
7 laps to go. McFadden leading his first laps of the race in this mix, by the way. Keep in mind, the last of those in this main pack yet to lead, Babcock and Mantle. Both have been electing to be the pushers all night. So that leads to another question. When do the pushers become the aggressies and outshuffle the pushies?
Yeah, and that's something we talk about week in and week out at these super speedway races. I mean, eventually teamwork kind of goes out the window, you know, and it's every man for themselves, especially at the end of this series. I mean, this is the last race here, so everybody's going to want to try to end this season with a exclamation point, with a victory.
Hold on. Babcock doesn't have help, and that's really broken up the top groove. Babcock was trying to calm down the temperatures, and nobody wanted to help him.
Yeah, still not wanting to help him, and this is kind of split up a little bit of this pack. I mean, you can see the top 4 kind of breaking away. That, of course, being Mark McFadden, Justin Levine, Matthew Kleinsmith, and Michael Little. But I think Babcock still, yep, he does have the draft. He's going to draft back up to Little, and now everybody's single file. And this is crazy, Justin. This is the first time we've actually seen single file here tonight.
Give it a few seconds because
Hey,
Bounty
yeah.
and company are trying to build the run with 5 laps to go. Babcock and Little both want to go. Now they all want to shuffle them out. Now Little tries to break them apart. Lap traffic up top. Faison Sheath is running the wall. Now Little forces Bounty to help him. He looks for third. Now looking for second. Sheik stays along the outside as Little gets the push.
And it looks like everybody's safely able to get by Faison as Mark McFadden leads the bottom line. Little, huge runs with the, of course, aid of the 34 of Sean Boundy. Bottom line does not have as many numbers as the top line. So I think the top line right now has the advantage as we come to, I do believe, 4 laps to go here at Talladega.
4 to go indeed at the stripe. Little getting pushed hard by Bounty. And all of Bounty's teammates right behind still. Levine has not left the bumper of McFadden for the past few laps. It's going to be interesting how they play things out there with that alliance still. And now they've shuffled Little. There goes Little.
I kind of figured that was going to happen. I felt like Bounty did not want to, heat up his engine too much sitting behind Little. So it was like, I think that they were waiting for just the right time to kind of shuffle him out. And now let's see, what does Babcock do? It looks like Babcock's going to try to hold these guys up, but it looks like Bounty has elected to go to the top. They're going to try to see if they can keep this train moving.
Oh, this is holding him back a fair bit with some of the side force. Little trying to come up to Babcock. And the more they run like this, with how much pullback there is starting to be effective from Babcock, the more this allows the top 3 to run. Keep in mind, Kleinsmith in all this is up to a race-high 3rd.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Sean Bounty, unfortunately. I mean, the side force earlier in this race I don't think was near as powerful as it is right now. Well, this is kind of curious to see, definitely, as there goes Babcock. He jumps up to the top. This is not over by a long shot as we come over to 2 laps to go. Mark McFadden, can he hold on? Oh, there goes Babcock, turn in front of Kleinsmith. I think we're going to get a yellow flag.
Still no caution yet. There it is. Green-white checker triggered. Kleinsmith spins. Babcock is in the grass.
That just changed everything. That is going to ramp up the intensity here. We talked about who pitted to kind of top off on gas. I think that's going to really maybe play some sort of role here as we see the spin there from Babcock.
And in turn, this means everybody left in the race stays on the lead lap for the final restart. Of note, Michael Little technical issues might cost him here. But this cost some people a lot of chances here. Kleinsmith with significant damage again, possibly.
And those GridVision cars cannot be too happy with one another, just considering, I mean, they're on the same team. And there were 3 GridVision cars that just wrecked each other, essentially. You really hate to see that. But, one thing about it, I talked about it a little bit earlier, touched on it a little bit. When you get to the end of these races, teammates don't matter anymore. You're just trying to do whatever you can to win.
So, green-white checkered finish set up here. We have 3 attempts available as talked about earlier on tonight. Again, if we take the white flag, it's a race to the checkered. If we get a caution before the white flag, they will re-rack them and stack them until we get that white flag completed, or rather, taking the white flag method complete. It's McFadden in front, though. Levine, Boundy, McGinley, and Wise, your top 5 at the time of caution. Remember, McGinley, Wise, and McFadden are all in a situation where they may be tight on gas.
Yeah, I definitely think they could be tight on gas. I mean, luckily, I think the pace laps here could help them out. But then again, they are extra pace laps. I mean, the race should be over at lap 60 or coming to 66. That's not the case anymore. We're going to go a little bit further, which is going to, of course, push the limit of the fuel tanks for those drivers. So this could be scary, to say the least. I mean, we already, I don't know. We see Faison getting a wave around. That's going to be good for him. I know he's going to be really happy about that, considering he had a little bit of a bad deal there that caused him to go a lap down.
You know who this caution was really, really great for, though? Ishikanian. Remember, got spun around out of turn 2, somehow didn't get the caution, and was about a lap or 2 away from being lapped. He still has to get repairs, the 19 car does. However, he's still got a chance because of the caution. Of note, though, Michael Little is out of the race, as we said, because of the tech issue.
That's unfortunate. And kind of circling back to that fuel issue, you know, we were talking about McFadden, of course, being one of the drivers that's really in the danger zone when it comes to running out of gas. He is probably in the most danger of running out of fuel. 36 laps into his stint right now. And, of course, the majority of that last stint, he was running in front. Justin Levine did not leave his bumper. They both pretty much, or he was made sure that Mark stayed up in front. And I think that might have been according to plan. I think Levine was like, hey, I'm going to let him burn up all the gas. And now McFadden, he's a little bit, I would be a little bit scared if I was 48, whether I can make it to the end of this thing or not. And if we get another green-white checkered, he's definitely not going to make it.
Yeah, I think might be okay, or should very likely be for 1. 2 or 3, it's going to be a little tighter. But the more caution laps you get, the more a chance to save, after all, since we're cutting that mileage in half per pace lap. So once again, we have 10 cars left. It could go either direction. Who do you think gets it at this point? We know Levine's up to second here. And the paint scheme kind of reminisces on it. You can tell what his thought is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I picked Levine, I'd say, early in this race. And I think I'll just stick with that call. I think Levine, he's probably determined. He wants to end this season on a high note.
And wouldn't be surprised, though, we talk about Boundy in that case, too, because he's already got the championship. So I think that's a pick there.
I didn't want to mention him just because of the simple fact that I didn't want to, like, jinx him.
And for those who missed, yes, that is Brian putting the lock of the week in for the 1 car. Is he hearing the thought is McFadden? From our producer, Austin Jarby-Shire. And that'd be a good story because of how close he's been several times. Is this the night he completes the job?
That would be great. I don't think all 3 of us that are involved in this production right now, I don't think any of us would lose sleep if he won this race. I think we would all be happy. I'd celebrate with him.
And you can tell just how much fuel he's trying to save here with how far back they are to the pace car. Remember, he's in control in the restart zone. The speed limit for the pace car / truck is 70. He's going 67 right now. And we'll see if that is him saving the gas or being cautious. McFadden, Levine, Boundy, McGinley, Wise, Mantle, your top 6. All set for the restart. 10 drivers with a chance to win it. 2 laps to go on the season. Green flag is out. 5+ miles to go.
Mark McFadden right now in the lead. Can he stay there? This is not looking good for Levine, my pick, as he has no help, absolutely no one Does he maybe Kleinsmith coming up to the one machine, going to try to get him rolling again.
McFadden stays bottom. Boundy is bundled down. And contact! There goes Kleinsmith. He goes around with McGinley. They both save it without a spin, but no caution.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for those two. As we look off the back of McFadden, here comes Sean Boundy with a last-second move on, of course, Mark McFadden. He has the aid of Scott Wise. Wise and Boundy have worked together all race long.
Coming to the white flag, this time by 4 car tandem up top side. Boundy with the lead. Mantle trying to push Wise as he tries to push Boundy to his first win. McFadden gets a push from Levine. Babcock takes it offset 3 wide for third.
They are on the backstretch. Can Boundy do it? Can he end this season with an exclamation point? He has been the dominator all season when it comes to earning the most points. They are battling hard right now for third place. Boundy and Wise out to a massive lead right now. Will Wise decide to make a move out of 4?
Here they go. Babcock inside. Boundy with a huge block. Babcock gets punched. He hits Wise into the wall. Here comes his chicanian. Sean Boundy closes out the season with his first win.
Wow, wins the championship and wins his first race here at Talladega. What a storybook ending for the 34.
And here comes the teammates to help him celebrate. What a finish. It's Sean Boundy who gets it done finally. He's been in the conversation all season. He's been the leader in terms of many of the stages. Tonight he leads the checker flag lap.
I'm so glad I did not pick Boundy. I'm glad you did, because apparently I curse people when I pick them.
And as mentioned, he already secured the championship last week. This is the icing on top of the cake. And everybody looks to join the celebration party as that closes out the season.
What an awesome job to the 34. I mean, earned more bonus points than anybody else by a long shot. Finishes this season out with almost 100 points on the next driver. I mean, just a utterly consistent. I mean, it's very difficult to be consistent in a super speedway league, but Boundy somehow managed to do it.
So it's a burnout party as everybody is happy the season is taking its checker flag here with an exciting one. Sean Boundy holds off his chicanian, Mantle, Levine, and McFadden for your top 5. Schieth comes back to 6th after being a lap down. Babcock in 7th. Wise, Kleinsmith, McGinley, your top 10. Their DNFs tonight, Little, Self, and Hand, all involved in various incidents throughout the evening. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, post-race coverage continues. You're watching GridVision for coverage of GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage of GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services. As post-race coverage continues, just about everybody is in the midst of a burnout party. But in the end, it's Boundy, Ishgani, and Mantle, your top three. Let's take the time to speak with your top three winners. First things first, Bobby Mantle comes away with the top three run tonight. Bobby, how would you describe your run tonight in the Chevy instead of the Ford?
Yeah, I started tonight out with a little bit of a brain fart, but after we got past that, tonight was great. This was a great way to end the season. This was probably the most fun I've had the entire time here. And just ecstatic that we finally got Sean to his first win.
In turn, how would you describe the green-white checkered finish there? Because it seemed like a lot happened there.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot happening there. My main goal was to try to just link up with Sean as best I could. It was a little difficult to try and sort out the beginning, but cards kind of fell our way, and I was able to link up with him and push him to the lead until things kind of fell apart a bit, but he had enough of a run, excellent block to maintain that lead, and he pulled it off.
So how would you describe the season as a whole for your side?
Oh, it was great. I loved it. Part of me is a little sad that it's over. My Monday nights will be free now for a little while, but I had a great time. You guys did an excellent job with hosting. This was such a good idea. The tracks were great. Everyone that showed up, especially the guys that stuck through the end, they were fantastic. Oh, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Anyone you want to give a shout out to here?
Yeah, shout out to Sean. I'm glad he was dominating all season long. Just didn't have that win. It was eluding him, but we finally got him there tonight. Shout out to Faison, Chad. We made a new friend tonight in Scott Wise. Brandon Ishkanian, I believe is how you say his name. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to you guys for the broadcast you put on, and to anyone that tuned in to watch this.
Well, congratulations on the top three once again tonight.
All right, thank you.
Bobby Mantle comes away in third spot. Second place, Brandon Ishkanian. He's with his boss on the TWRS side. He's with Brian.
You didn't have to say it like that, Justin. Hey, Brandon, how's it going, man? Great job on the second place. I mean, you were really close to even possibly getting the win. I know you had to go through a lot of trials here tonight. A lot of contact, things like that on the racetrack. How does it feel to get second place? I know you've had some ups and downs so far this season.
Yeah, man, it was fun to get that second place. I'm confident in the next gen cars on Superspeedways. I've done a lot of racing in the next gen on Superspeedways. The contact and stuff early was troubling, and it was frustrating. Seeing Jason go out early was heartbreaking. So I knew I had to make some friends, and I started hitting Sean up. Hey man, I need somebody. So that's ended up where it ended up falling into place at. So.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed like you kind of did start to make some friends there for sure. Tell us about how the cars handled tonight. It seemed like the temperature of the engines very much impacted the way you had to drive this race car tonight.
Yeah, one of the things that is huge with this. One of the things that's huge with this is the fact that when you get up behind a car, you can push to about 295. If you go any higher than that, it's gonna blow. But you can push all the way around this track, and I learned that back in the Podium eSports 500 this past year, that you could just push it around the entire track. When I found that out, that changed my entire game when it came to super speedway racing.
Well, that's definitely very interesting. So you definitely just have to be mindful of that temperature. Very curious. So, did you have fun? I know you didn't do a whole lot of racing this season in this series, but we're definitely glad that you joined. Did you have fun? Would you do it all again?
Oh yeah, man. I like I said, I love super speedway racing. I would do it again when I saw the announcements. I kind of got a little bummed out, but hopefully y'all decide to bring it back, and I'm definitely in. Like I said, super speedway racing it's a crapshoot. I love it.
Alrighty, well, thanks for your time, Brandon. Who can we give a shout out to after your second place finish?
Well, of course, I got to give a shout out to TWRS. They power me on the open nights. Any kind of open setup, that's where you're gonna go to get your fast setups. We gotta thank Kenny for building a quick car last week and this week, and a truck. Then I gotta thank my brother for the paint scheme. He hooked us up. It's actually a playoff of Garrett Mains's cars that he's been running all season. So, and then I got to give a shout out to Garrett actually for allowing me to run the Garrett Mains Racing for Autism on the back. I think it's on the back of this car. Other than that, man, you, GridVision, all of y'all, and just everybody that watches, man. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate what y'all put on.
All right, Brandon. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll see you hopefully in the future on the racetrack.
Yeah, man, appreciate you.
All righty, that was Brandon Ishkanian, and definitely appreciate him joining us.
So in turn, the race win tonight finally goes to the guy who also picked up the championship last week. Sean, you finally got the win as part of the championship run. How are you feeling?
I'm pretty excited. Woo.
How?
Finally, we can have Brian not say that I'm the guy to win the race every week. I felt bad not being able to deliver for him every time he picked me.
That's right.
And so I can pretty much easily say this one's for you and for all the guys that was helping me out tonight.
So in turn, how was your perspective, or what was that perspective of that green-white checker? Because lots of different runs, lots of different sectors, and having a block basically to the apron.
Under the caution, I'm like seeing where everybody that was in our group. It's like we got Scott Wise in here. We had a talk last week, and then told him to join us this week. And then Brandon, he was messaging me midway through the race, and I kind of recruited him halfway through the race to come into our channel so we can have more people to talk to, more people to work with. And based on where everybody was going to line up, we were just deliberating how we were going to start that restart, where we wanted the lines to run. Unfortunately, there was in the scheme of things, there was a wreck, but it worked out really well that car that was going to come up on Levine, lost his momentum, and that really accelerated the plan to try to get clear of Levine and then move everybody up to the top lane. If we could do that. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Plans don't always work out accordingly. That one kind of did in an oddball sort of way.
Well, in turn, once again, already secured the championship last week. You pick up the win this week. As the champion, you have the floor. How would you state this season in your perspective?
I used to do Superspeedway racing a lot. I mean, I came onto the service doing Superspeedway racing, and I did it well, and it was the only thing I knew how to do until I gave it all up and said I need to learn how to race other tracks. And this has been the first dedicated Superspeedway series that I really came back to, and I just had an absolute blast. It can get a little, tiring running the same flat out races every race, but it's so mentally exhausting. It's not easy to do this. It's taxing, and constantly watching your lanes and make chess moves as fast as we do with as tight a space as we have to slip our cars in and out of. So it was exhausting. It was a lot of fun, and each race there was 2 races that I had to make sure I was up front at, or at least close to, the stage points and the end of the race, and everywhere else was just having a lot of fun and kind of relaxing in between those moments. But yeah, appreciate everybody throughout the season sticking it out, everybody that put this event on. It was very exciting. A lot of different challenging setups that we experimented with over the course of the season. And some was more difficult than others, but it was actually kind of a fun challenge to work with the different cars and the different setups and how they all handled from week to week, not knowing what we were really going to have. So it kept things interesting. But for the most part, yeah, I kind of started the season by myself, and as the races went on, just picked up more and more people realizing, hey, I'm kind of driving in here by myself. Ran with Bobby and Chad and Fajon, and after our fun little run in mid-season, we ended up being real great teammates working through the second half of the season. So I had a lot of fun working with them and getting help from them, and helping Faison with getting his wing. I'm sure he was super excited about that. So those are the more fun moments and proud moments to be able to help other people that are really this isn't their limelight. And I don't know what else to say. It was just really exciting race.
Once again, congratulations on the championship. Congratulations on the season. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Yeah, we bookmarked it. We got the preseason race and the finale, and had a lot of fun. I've never been too big on being too excited about winning. I've always been that old school NASCAR mentality. The best average wins the race in the season. So it's usually how I get a lot of these. And when NASCAR moved to their playoff style and wins meant more, it kind of took me out of my element a little bit, but it did help me get more aggressive as smartly as I could. So it has been fun doing that, and I feel like I have gotten more aggressive, kind of in a bolder, just more confident in every move that I would make, just to get back to the front without hindering the patience of doing it. But yeah, I do seem to do a little bit better with these traditional NASCAR point style systems. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for putting this show on.
Once again, Sean Bounty coming away with the championship, as well as his first win of the season. I'd like to thank him, as well as the rest of the top three, for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on GridVision. So, intern Brian, what are your final thoughts as the season in turn comes to a close? The third to last GridVision race broadcast of 2023 also coming to a close tonight.
Wow, definitely. What a year we've had, and this has definitely been an awesome part of it. This experiment, if you will, the GridVision Superspeedways series. I've very much enjoyed it. Every race has been insanely entertaining. I mean, we've seen 5 wide finishes at Atlanta. We've seen really awesome finishes at Talladega, at Daytona. All the different race cars raced really well. I'd love to see what we could kind of cook up again at some point for sure. But it's been awesome, and very, very huge congratulations to Sean Bounty on the title.
So in turn, the season comes to a close here tonight. I'd like to once again thank you for watching along throughout this season for GridVision Superspeedways, as well as the presenting sponsor, First Coast Fleet Services, for their support of this season and this series. We spent Monday in a pack in a multitude of different combinations with the Gen 4, whether with the Gen 6, with the truck, with the Grand National / Xfinity Series car, and of course the Next Gen / Cup car. And in turn, we're thankful to have you along for the ride here throughout this season. It's time to say goodbye. From a broadcast partner tonight, Brian Brett, for Austin Jarvie Shaw producing, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching GridVision Superspeedways. We spent Mondays in a pack. We'll see you tomorrow for Stars, and see you Thursday for the SSRL Truck Series finale.